Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvasesha Sanyavari Paskachada Satarani. Hey! Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Lakshman Hanuman. So yesterday evening, we celebrated the Ramvijaya, the vanquishing of Ravan. And it was a nice festival. Kirtan was nice, talk was nice, Prasadam was good. Ravana put up a bit of a fight, wouldn't drop his sword, but in the end he was vanquished. So I thought it would be appropriate and fun to give a little backstory and some of the details of this Ram Leela. So, oh, thank you, but here, just, and then you can give it to the Sankirtan devotees. Thank you, Prabhu. You were going to say something? Oh, thank you. Next. So, this Ram Leela is celebrated all around the world. And in ISKCON, it's celebrated all over. We have plays. We should do a play. This is a devotee acting as Ravan. This is, you can see that, you can't really see the sea. This is about a 20-foot Ravana. So all over the world, it's a wonderful pastime. Good conquering evil, virtue over vanity. Next. So here's a little background of the Ramayan. Next. So it was revealed to the sage Valmiki, who originally was a robber, you know the story, and was tricked by Narada Muni to chant the name of the Lord of Death, Mara, 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 and became Rama, Rama, Rama. And I think I don't know how many thousands of years, but ultimately he became the great sage Valmiki. And the Bhagavatam is what, 18,000 verses? Yeah. So you can figure 12 cantos of the Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses, but the Ramayan is 24,000 verses. It's the longest poem in the world. Forget the Iliad, forget the Odyssey. It is the longest historical narrative in poetic form in the world. Next. So why does it matter to us? The thing is, there's a reason for these leelas and pastimes. It's not just folklore, my grandmother told me. It's not just a nice story to compete with Shakespeare. But it's actually, I was at a class one time with some kids. It was a Sunday school somewhere, I forget. And I asked the kids, to figure they're 8 to 12, how many of them know Batman? Everybody raised their hands. How many know, I don't know, whatever it is, you know, the different Superman, this, that, I don't know who's cool now. They all raised their hands. I said, how many of you know Hanuman? How many of you know Arjuna? And hands dropped like anything. And the fact of the matter is that one's epics, one's lore, one's heroes, like who's the hero today? Some monkey dancing around on a stage or on the cover of People magazine. Not even a polished dog and a cat. No, that's their heroes. I mean, I don't want to go political, but you can just, you know, what are the caliber of these people? And therefore, what's the caliber of the society and the goals and aspirations? So we learn from these great epics what it means to be a human being. It's not just if you can get your tail into Walmart and back and have a little comfortable man cave somewhere. This is not human life. So next. So Lord Ram comes, Prabhupada says, to show the example of a perfect leader and a perfect human being. This is when he was protecting. Where's my laser pointer? These are all the. This is his first venture out with Lakshman, with Vishwamrita. And here's the demons, and they're pouring blood and bones and stool and putting out the sacrificial fires of the sages in the forest. And here's Ram, victory to Ram. And probably there's a precursor to his victory over Ravana. Next. So the seeds that later bore bitter fruit, and I've got something here, I hope I can read it, that this is Ravan, obviously, and this is the flowered jeweled chariot of Kubera that he stole. Here's his associates, friendly fellows. These are all, this is from Akbar, Maharaj Akbar, the most powerful emperor of the world at the time. Yeah, far more than the Chinese emperor, forget Persia. And Queen Elizabeth was in a stone-cold castle with a, what do they call that? A pass stool in a pot and dump it out the window.
Chamber pot.
Huh?
Chamber pot.
Chamber pot. Someone could hit the lights for just a minute, because I want to, or if you have a flashlight on your phone.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is from the Puranic Encyclopedia that Ravana really built a whole load of karmic weight coming down on his things. So this is from the, this is just a sampling. I've got 7. But there's 18 different offenses by Ravana, and their corresponding curses from the Ramayan and the Puranas. He violated the daughter of a sage worshipping Vishnu, and she cursed him that Vishnu will vanquish you. Ravana called Nandikeshwara, this is Shiva's bull, like Vishnu has Garuda, so he rides on a bull. Brahma has his swan. They think they're a big deal if they've got an armor-plated Lincoln. But that's, but so he called Lord Shiva's carrier, called him a monkey. So Nandikeshwara cursed him, the bull cursed him, that you'll be, you think I'm a monkey? You'll be cursed by, you'll be destroyed by monkeys. He laughed and kicked Ashtavakra. And Ashtra, who was a sage, he was double jointed in his knees, and so he walked kind of funny. So he laughed at him, and he kicked him, Ravana. So he said, you'll be kicked from head to toe by monkeys. That was the curse. Another curse, there's a number of these. He molested and mutilated the daughter of Dvaipana in the presence of the great sage. Dvaipana cursed Ravana, your sister, Supanarka, will also be mutilated, and you, Ravana, will be humiliated by monkeys. This is the 5th of 7. He killed a king coming from the Sun dynasty, and he was cursed that a prince in the Sun dynasty would cut off all of his 10 heads. And of course, Lord Ram comes in that Vamsa in the Sun dynasty. He forced himself on the daughter of a sage. Brahma cursed him that he would die if he ever took a woman by force again, because he had a pattern of this, so he was cursed. You try that again, and your head will crack in half. So he couldn't force himself on Sita. He threatened Sita. He said, you surrender to me. First he tried to charm her. He could change. He could shapeshift. He could be very handsome and charming. He knew he could sing. He was a musician. He was a poet. Very talented person. So he tried to woo her with all of his opulence and charm, and of course she wouldn't even give him the time of day. She wouldn't even look at him. So he said, you've got a choice. You surrender me to talk about a charming manner. He showed his real nature. He said, you surrender to me willingly, or within a month, or I'm going to chop you up and cook you, have my cooks cook you up, and I'm going to eat you. Make a nice Sita stew. So He was cursed by Brahma. He tried to force himself on the daughter of the Vedas personified. She told him she would marry only Vishnu. Still he tried, and she disappeared, vowing to come again as the cause of destruction. And who did she come back as? Sita Devi. So that gives you a little, thanks, Prabhu. That gives you a flavor of Ravana. And pride goes before a fall. There's one of my favorite verses of Ram Lila. We'll read it in a minute about the moment of how the Bhagavatam describes it. So next. Now, there was also, in other words, there's I think it's from the Bible, but I'm not sure. But it's the wheel of justice turns slowly, but it grinds infinitely fine. Nobody gets away with anything. Everybody gets what they deserve. The wheel of justice turns slowly, like a grinding mortar grinding up the, but it grinds infinitely fine. Everybody gets what they deserve. So Dasarath also was out hunting, and he was a little careless, and he saw something in the bushes and shot, and it was the son of a blind rishi, and he killed, by accident, the son of the blind. And he was the only one taking care of him. The son, invalid wife, old wife, and an old man blind, and now the only son is killed. So he was cursed that you will also lose your son. So all of these things build up. Nobody gets away with anything. Next. So Dasarath, he performed the jaga to get sons. He didn't have any sons. And this is the Jaga Purush coming out of the fire. Again, this is from Akbar's, Maharaj Akbar. He read Ramayan, he read Mahabharata. You used to be able to see when you went to Jaipur, I don't know where they put it now, I think it's in the National History Museum, but you used to be able to go in and you could see pages from his, beautifully illustrated like this. He's got the pot of pumsam, sacrificial sweet rice. You feed a little bit to each of the wives and they became pregnant. So this is the power of Vedic jagas. We had a devotee, oh good, there's the clock. I forget, remember Gaur Keshava? He was the big puja guy. So he they had, is it a Aruni wood that you could rub together and then by mantra it would start a fire? Aruni wood, yeah. So thank you. And that's how they would start a fire. They didn't go down, didn't have a box of sulfur matches and finally get a Bic lighter. They would do it by mantra and this wood. So he wanted to simulate that, and he went to a magic shop. And evidently you could dip this wood into this solution, and if you rub them together, there was some friction, they would start a fire. So he wanted to rub them together and chant mantras and start a fire by magical trick. Tried it once, tried it 3 times, didn't work. And he just, in anger, threw them under the seat of the Vyasasan, and then, But when they hit the ground, they hit each other and the stone. People started to smell something. The Vyasasan caught on fire. He had to take the flaming Vyasasan out. So we're not quite in the league of the previous Jagyak. We've got to, whatever. We just take shelter of the holy name. It's an eclipse, take shelter of the holy name. It's this, that, take shelter of the holy name. We had an astrologer here one time. Prabhupada said with one, there was, who was it, Vishal, who was always kind of a comic character in Prabhupada's Leela. So he got this ring, a Navaratri ring with 9 stones to ward off the inauspicious this and that, who just happened to be sold by the astrologer who told him he needed one. Conflict of interest. So Prabhupada didn't miss a thing. Prabhupada noticed it. He said, it's to ward off the influence of Rahu. Prabhupada said, with one kick, Krishna can take care of 10,000 Rahus. We had a devotee one time in Los Angeles. I won't mention his name. He was a big astrologer. And he predicted that the big one was coming, the earthquake was coming, and everyone had to abandon the LA temple because California was going to fall in the ocean. He had already bought land in Nevada, which was going to become coastal property. And, like the biblical prophets of the Old Testament warned everyone and took off. Nothing happened. devotees aren't going to give up their service. They're not. Sometime I'll tell you when there was an earthquake and Prabhupada was giving Bhagavatam class, I was sitting there. What happened? I'll tell you some other time. So 2 weeks later, the guy shows up. No earthquake. Everyone's going on with their seva Rukmini Dwarkadish. And he gets out and he's got one leg in a cast. The other leg, he's on crutches. His arm's broken. He's got a neck in a brace. What happened? Well, on his way to Nevada, he was in a car accident. So there was an impact. There was an earthquake. It was a little more localized than the coast of California. You know, so it's an eclipse, it's this, that. No, we just take shelter of Krishna. So I'm in a Rahu period. Did we wake you? Okay. So anyway, next. So Kaikeya, she also had her 3 boons. Careful what you promise. And we know the story of Dasarath. He had to honor, he gave his word. There's an old joke. How do you know if a politician is lying? His lips are moving. Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. Everyone's lying in Kali Yuga. Don't they, what is it? I don't want to go political, but they call it, was it fake truth? Alternative truth? You ever heard of alternative gravity? Sometimes everything goes up instead of going down. I mean, what are they talking about? There's truth and there's falsehood. Alternative facts, that's what it is. Alternative facts, alternative truths. So no, this is a culture of virtue. Your word means something. Honor means something. Duty means something. Next. We'll get into the battle in a moment. So this is, you read these are the old style Indian painting, Mughal paintings. These are all from the 14th, 15th, 16th century. And there's a number of scenes here. I don't have my glasses on. This is after they were banished to the forest. Sita, such a delicate princess, she's living out in the forest. Ram, you know, sitting on thrones and this. But they were having fun in the forest. Here's Sita cooking. Here they're listening to the sages. Here, Ram's preparing his weapons. Here they're out in the forest. You know, if you leave deer alone, deer will breed like anything. It was a big problem in New Vrindavan. They could jump 6 feet over a fence, eat all of our corn, eat all of our wheat. You got to cull them. So the Kshatriyas who go out to the forest, get rid of the wild boars, get rid of the overpopulation. They manage the forest and at the same time practice their skills. So, as it says, consciousness, not conditions, determine happiness. My son told me a line, I forget what it, wherever you go, there you are. You follow? You can go to Bali, you can go to, I don't know, wherever you want to go. You can go to Paris, but wherever you go, there you are. You take your mind, you take your consciousness, you take your desires, you take your ego, you take your anxieties. Wherever you are, there you are. So better to cure yourself. And then it doesn't matter where you are. Next. So simple living, high thinking. I like this because this is, you see them, they're in forest dress. All their clothes are made out of leaves. And they're meeting with the sages and discussing different pastimes of Lord Vishnu. Next. So they were this is, like I say, there's a number of scenes here. Here's all the rishis in their caves. And here's Sita, Ram, Lakshman as they were roaming about. They would visit the sages, get different benedictions, help them with the, whatever it was, kill some asura. So they were, and here's the devas. Forget cable TV, just float in the sky and watch Ram Leela. Next. So this is Marichi, this deer. Look, he's a golden deer studded with diamonds. You can see why Sita was attracted. So, of course, we know that all that glitters is not gold. One has to see what is the substance of things. We have to recognize illusion and cut it down. And as far as Marichi, he didn't want to do it. He'd encountered when Lakshman and Ram were sent as teenagers, went out with Vishwamrita, went out to help the sages in the forest. There was an army of 40,000 Rakshasas who attacked them. They were all killed. A few were survived. Marichi was blown by the blast of the battle all the way back to Lanka. And he told Ravan, you do not want to mess with Ram. Do not do this. But what could he do? He was obliged. He was the servant of Ravan. Ravan would kill him. So we serve a bad master. Prabhupada says, you pet a skunk, your hand will smell. Next. So while Rama and Lakshman were pursuing that golden deer, here you see up above, here's Rama and Lakshman chasing after the deer. This is Ravana disguised as a mendicant, as a wandering sannyasi. And of course, Lakshman had drawn a circle. He said, you stay inside this circle, you're protected. You step outside this circle, you can be captured. So the Ravana came in disguise, begging alms. Sita comes out of her little forest hut. She's bringing some nice fruits and vegetables, nice, something for the sadhu. And he said, oh, I'm an old man. I'm so weak from fasting. I can't go any further. Just step outside the circle. And soft-hearted Sita stepped out the circle and was captured by Ravan. We think sometimes we have a better idea than our acharyas. Oh, it's modern times. Prabhupada set up a GBC, he set up ISKCON, but we've got a better idea. We've got Prabhupada's books, but let me hear from, what's going on in the Babajis at Radhakund. Maybe I'm a peacock. Meow, meow. Stand around my copans and find out what my Siddha day is. No, we stay within the circle, within the protection of the instructions given to us by our acharyas. And then we're safe. Otherwise, we're cheated by false religion, false so many things, as she was cheated by a false sannyasi. Next. So this is Ravana. You can see here he's dragging Sita away. Here he's got her in his cart with his 10 head. He's got his chariot pulled by donkeys. Here's the famous Jatayu. Jatayu is an old Jatayu trying to fight him. Actually gave up his life trying to protect Sita. So that's the scene. Next. So this is Ram, comes home, and he sees no Sita. So he's inquiring, where is Sita, from all the forest animals? They're looking everywhere. And finally, you can see here, they find pieces of Ravana's chariot that had broken off from the attack of Jatayu. And they find the dying Jatayu. And he tells them that he was stolen by Ravan. So that's where they get the tip that Ravana has stolen Sita. Next. This is Ram, when they were looking at Lakshman and Ram, they were traveling all over trying to find where is Ravana's palace, his kingdom. And this is, they wandered into the kingdom of the monkeys. What is the name for the monkeys? Was it Kishkinda was the name of the capital? Yeah, Kishkinda. So they were called Varanas in the kingdom of King. Yes, thank you very much. So this is Hanuman described as a sannyasi. This red cloth usually means renounced order. So this is Hanuman disguised as a renunciate. And he said, oh, you must be great sages, but I notice you have broad shoulders and you have a mark on your shoulder from carrying your bow. He could immediately understand they were not mendicants wandering in the forest. They were noble princes. So have you come to challenge my lord? So, and of course, Ram and Lakshman, you know the story, they were charmed by Hanuman's sweet words and demeanor. Next. So King Sugriva, now Sita, this is a princess. I could tell you some stories about Vaishnav Rajput princesses. They were brave. They were, So she, as she was being dragged away, she took up some of her jewels in some of her cloth and was throwing it out of the cart. So Ram could see, okay, they've gone in this direction. She'd calculated, because how are they going to find it? So this is Hanuman's king, King Sugriva, had found some of this cloth with jewels, and now they're making their alliance, and he's showing Ram that Sita went this way. She went to the south. This is where he was flying. Okay, next. This is the same scene. This is Lakshman and Hanuman in the forest dress. This is Sugriva. They're discussing the jewels. All the monkeys are listening in on what the powwow is. And Prabhupada makes the point that they appeared to be monkeys. You judge someone by their character, not by their fancy words or nice silk cloth. What's in their heart? There's an old line, I think it's from John Lennon. You might look cute in a tie and a suit, but one thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside. So what's your character? That's what matters. And now it's all superficials. Next. So here's the monkeys. They're searching. You see they're looking in all the caves. They're searching all over the place. And simultaneously, every now and then they'd find a Rakshasa here. They'd give him a good wallop. You know, so they were clearing out the Rakshasas to protect the sages and looking for Sita. They were multitasking. Next. So finally they met Sampati, who was the brother of Jatayu. Remember, Jatayu was the one who was fighting. So he had seen, he revealed Sita's location. The Hanuman, all the different parties who went out looking from the Sugriva's kingdom, they all gave up. But Hanuman wouldn't give up. And finally they were at the edge of the sea and exhausted. Where else were they going to go? And then here's Jatayu. Here's Jatayu first meeting them. He's describing, they're talking. Here they are, here are the monkeys looking, stage 1. Here they are meeting Jatayu, stage 3. Here he's discussing, and here he's pointing to the south. They went this way. Okay, next. So Ram gives Hanuman, so of course, obviously I'm fast forwarding because I want to get to the battle. So the Sita was being kept by Ravana and all kinds of witches and demons and shapeshifters and magicians and all kinds of, you read in Krishna book how they made the fake Vasudeva and cut off his head. These people could do all kinds of mystical things, illusions, sleight of hands. So maybe Hanuman, if he shows up to Sita, maybe it's just another, Ravana trick. So Ram gives her his signet ring, the ring that you put as your seal. And he gives Hanuman the signet ring, which only Ram would have, and said, you take this and this will confirm that you're a bona fide messenger. So we know the next. That's the scene there. And here we see, here's Hanuman jumping off to Lanka. And of course, this is this isn't Varunadev. Who is this? Someone came out of the ocean, a giant serpent, to stop him, to devour him. And Hanuman got bigger and bigger. The serpent got bigger and bigger. Hanuman got bigger and bigger. The serpent got bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, Hanuman shrunk, flew through his mouth and was out. Because the curse was that nobody goes through unless they go through my mouth. So Hanuman went through his mouth, but by a trick. So, sometimes they think the devotees are, well, all right, at least you got 3 square meals a day. You're off the street. You're not on welfare. You're sitting in your temple ringing bells. But devotees are the most active. They're the most creative, most brave for Krishna. Next. So this is a scene. This is Ravana. We're inside Lanka. And you see all the hustle and bustle. And there's beautiful women and wealth and musicians. So Hanuman was searching out, where is Sita? Where is Sita? And he was fixed. He wasn't attracted by... He even went through Ravana's palace with the most beautiful women in the world. It had a revelry that night, previous night. They were in various states of undress. He was a brahmachari, completely just looking for Sita. Where is Sita? Where is Sita? So devotees were the best of yogis. This is samadhi. We're just fixed in the service of the Lord. We're not distracted. So next. So in an Ashok forest, trees, outside the city, here's Ravana, and he's taunting Sita. You better surrender me, I'm going to cook you up. And you see all the different Rakshasas taking different forms. And who's up here in the tree? Because Hanuman could become extremely larger and he could shrink. So he's finally found out where Sita is, and so he waited till Ravana and the guards were gone. Okay, next. So I was saying trust but verify. So he shows her the ring. Hanuman showing the ring. So now look at these. I love these demons. And they get turned into, and here they are taunting. We're going to cook you up. We're going to, and here's Hanuman. And she's looking at the ring. Oh, and she told she had 1 month more she could last. After 1 month, she was going to give up her life. So next. So here's the same scene. Here's Hanuman. Here's Hanumanji giving Sita the ring. Here's all the Rakshasas guarding her so she couldn't leave in the Ashok forest. Next. So Hanuman was brought. Hanuman let himself be captured. Because the Rakshashis reported, oh, there's some monkey talking to Sita and something's going on here. And so they captured him. And Prabhupada says that monkeys are very fond of their tails. So what they did was, you can see here Hanuman's tail. They wrapped it in rags dipped in oil. And they were going to light him on fire. Now the thing is, Hanuman wanted to smash Ravan. That was he just wanted to, just like Arjuna wanted to fight. Hanuman he just wanted to smash Ravan. But he had a mission. He had to put aside his personal desires. I want to see pilgrimage places in India. I want to go here. I don't want to be a pujari. I don't want to be a cook. I'm tired of book this. Yeah. We got the mind says all kinds of crazy things, you know. And we may actually have a devotional desire. But that desire, what is it? Yasya prasad bhagavad prasada. Our devotional desires need to be confirmed by our spiritual master and the senior devotees, our Siksha gurus. Then you know you're on the right path. Not just, I got a great idea how I'm going to serve Krishna. So he wanted to smash Ravan. But he had to get the message to Sita. Otherwise she was going to give up her life. So he kept his focus on his mission. Once his mission was accomplished, Prabhupada said his first mission, given to a spiritual master, was to turn the West. Then he came back to India. That was an addition. That was frosting on the cake. Turned India, turned the whole world. But he did his first mission first. So here you see they got Hanuman's tail. It's all wrapped up. Here's Ravana. And they lit it on fire. You know what happened? Yeah. Next. Hanuman took a super huge size and hopped like a monkey all over Lanka. Lit the entire city of Lanka on fire. The whole place was burning on fire. And giant Hanuman said, "Victory to Ram!" and jumped back to not back to where Ram was staying. Okay, next. So we're fast forwarding a bit. Now they tried to put off the war. This is Ravana's grandfather-in-law. He's an Ashur too. He's nice. He's a little dental work. And here he's making an appeal to Ravan. All the Rakshasas are getting ready for the to fight. They're all getting so blinded by lust. You can't take good advice. Prabhupada says you give good advice to a drunk. I know this from my neighbors. You try to give good advice to a drunk, what happens? Do they say, "Oh, thank you, sir. I know I was on the wrong path. Thank you for your wisdom." What do? They get angry. Prabhupada said, give good instruction to a fool, he becomes angry. So Ravan just became more fixed in he's blinded by lust and by pride. Who is this mortal? I'm the great Ravan. Next. So this is Vibhishana. Here's Vibhishana flying over on a Rakshasa, and he's coming to surrender to Ram. Next. Why is that upside down? Well, that's interesting. So they're building the bridge to Lanka, the floating stones. Oh, what is this, floating stones? Every time we go out at night, so many planets, they're floating. This earth is floating in the air. What is it to float a few stones? Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, all the planets. You know what gravity is? I asked a physics professor one time, what is gravity? Well, gravity is caused by graviton. What are gravitons? Gravitons are particles of mass infused with gravity. Particles of mass infused with gravity. What's gravity? Gravity is gravity. That's not an answer. That's classic circular. You ask them what electricity is. You'll go in a huge circle. Electricity is electricity. They don't know what causes it. They know that mass has gravity. Greater amounts of mass have greater degrees of gravity. But what causes it to have that attractive force? They have no idea. They don't. It's incredible bluff. It's floating by Seshanag, by Krishna's mystic power. So what's it to float a few stones? Next. Oh, I wanted to read something. I need your... this is something... I promise you'd learn something new. This is from... this comes from the Padma Purana via Radhanath Maharaj. Oh, my glasses. Now, as you know, they were collecting stones from all over the place. It's a big bridge. The bridge was 80 miles long and 8 miles wide. It was a thoroughfare. You got to move an army across it. So Govardhan Hill, he wanted to take part. He wanted to serve the Lord. So the bridge to Lanka, here it says 800 miles long and 80 miles wide. Wow. It was built in 6 days. Hanuman went to Vrindavan and was going to bring Govardhan for the bridge. A celestial voice said, "We don't need any more. Leave him where he is." Govardhan started crying because he couldn't be used. He was left out. Ram said, "Don't worry. I'll come back and use you profusely. I'll even lift you." So that's a little Govardhan Hill Leela. Okay, next. We're coming to the end. So you know the story that the Hanuman's throwing these huge boulders, mountains, to make this 800 miles long, 80 mile wide. And the little squirrel is kicking in the dust. And of course, Hanuman says, "Get out of the way. I'm doing some solid service here." Ram says, no, according to his capacity. So it's not the Bhavagrahi Janardanam means Krishna knows what's in everyone's heart. He's the super soul, is present in everyone's heart. So he knows what everyone's thinking. And if we're serving according to our ability the best we can, then it's accepted. So this is Ram and the squirrel. Next. So this is Ravana's army. Quite a colorful cast. These are jackals vomiting fire. Pretty scary. They're birds of prey, hawks and owls screeching. The British used to go into war, and they'd have the bagpipes, the Scottish bagpipers in the front, and the sound just freaked. They're in Africa and in the Middle East or whatever, in China. That sound just freaked them. So you can imagine hawks calling, owls, jackals vomiting fire. Pretty scary scene. And they all look like this. I don't want to meet that guy in an alley at night. Next. So here they are. They're crossing the bridge. This is Ravana, all the Rakshasas standing sentry. The monkeys were so enthusiastic, some of them are swimming. This is Vibhishana flying in the sky, and they're going to attack. Next. So here they are strategizing. Here's Ram with all the monkey generals and bears, monkeys and bears. So they're all, and you look at them, they're all loaded, they're loaded up. What do they have? They got rocks, trees, boulders. That's their weapons. They're going at it. So the thing is that, look at this movement. Where do you have to look? An old man, not in good health, no friends, English is a second language, but firm faith in the order of his spiritual master and the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the power of the holy name. The whole world changed. How is this movement going on? It's just the whole thing is completely mystical. Okay, next. So this is Kumbhakarna. Vijay Prabhu gave a very nice description of Kumbhakarna at the talk yesterday. It was a nice talk yesterday. So what happened is that he was asking, they all performed the different, Ravan and they all performed different austerities, and they all got different benedictions. So, this one got this benediction, another one got, Ravana got his, no, he wouldn't be killed by any mortal, and so many different things. So it was stacking up as, the Devas were freaked. So they went to the goddess Saraswati, "You've got to help us. Brahma, you've got to help us." So Saraswati bewildered Brahma. And so when he gave the benediction, Kumbhakarna asked that he wanted the seat of Indra. In other words, he wanted the Rakshasas to take over the kingdom of heaven. Or he also said he wanted the absence of Devas. The Sanskrit can be taken either way. But she bewildered him in that one syllable became long instead of short. And what he asked for was he wanted a nice bed and plenty of time for sleeping. So he sleeps for 6 months, wakes for a day, and so he's, wakes with a voracious appetite. So this is Kumbhakarna snoring some solid Z's. You can make your plan. Prabhupada said, "I have my plan, you have your plan, but Krishna has his plan." Whose side do you want to be on? All right, next. What is at the end of Bhagavad Gita? Wherever I am, there's victory, morality, opulence, and extraordinary strength. So that's the side we want to be on, Krishna's side. So here's Kumbhakarna. They're trying to wake him up. Here's all the elephants walking on his chest. They're beating him with sticks. They got big kettle drums. This is also from Akbar's Ramayan. You know that Jiva Goswami, we're off the track, but it's okay. Akbar heard about, I've told this before, but I learned a new detail. Akbar, Maharaj Akbar, his kingdom went from Afghanistan, through Afghanistan, all the way to Iran, all the way through Burma to China, all the way up to, through Afghanistan up to Russia. That was his kingdom, and all the subcontinent of India. There were a few places they were holding out. And he made alliances with them. You know, they paid a little tribute. They gave $1 a month, and he didn't fight with them. You know, they left, they cooperated. So he liked to visit sages, Sufi sages. Some Jesuit monks came to see him, and he was not impressed at all. He said they didn't smell good. They didn't bathe. He was not impressed by their philosophy. He heard about Jiva Goswami and wanted to see, what time is it? And he wanted to see Jiva Goswami. So he sent a messenger, please come see Akbar. Jiva Goswami said, I don't leave Vrindavan. Well, I'll come to you with my royal entourage. No. Jiva, talk about truth to power. Jiva Goswami says, no, there's only one king in Vrindavan, and that's Krishna. I'll see. If you come dressed as a humble mendicant, as a pilgrim, with a few people, humble entourage, then I'll speak with you. Akbar was piqued. His interest was piqued. Who is this? Such a brave, bold person, unbending in there. So he wanted to come. So he disguised himself. You know, Kshatriyas, just like we learned Krishna and Ram, they could disguise themselves. They learned how to dress in different fashions. So he disguised himself, and some of his trusted, members of the court, a little small guard, they came. Jiva Goswami was so impressed. He said, let me do something for you. I'm Akbar. Let me give you something. You know, they give villages, and then you get the income. They give cows for a goshala. They give, 4 blocks of gold. They do all kinds of things. He's a king. Ishwar above. Jiva Goswami said, what do I need? I have everything I need. Thanks, but no thanks. Akbar said, nobody leaves my presence without getting something. Jiva Goswami said, there's a nice kund going down, it steps down into a nice bathing kund. And part of the rail was broken. You could fix this rail. You could do that for me. Now, he built the Red Fort. He built Fatehpur Sikri. I mean, these are you could put Buckingham Palace in a corner. They'd use it as the horse stable in the Red Fort. Akbar built the Red Fort in Delhi and also in Agra. And you're asking me to fix a railing? Jiva Goswami gave him spiritual vision. He saw that 10 feet of railing were solid gold and jewel-studded chintamani. He actually got a look at Goloka, Nanda Maharaja's Goloka Vrindavan. And he did a quick calculation. There were not enough jewels in his entire treasury to fix that 10 feet of railing. He had to say, I can't do it. But he was so, now here's that's a great story, ha, 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 ha. Here's the proof. He was so impressed that he went back to his capital. He was staying at Fatehpur Sikri at the time. And he donated the stone and the workers and the money. And they built, it's at Radha Damodar temple, they built the library for keeping all the Goswami literature. He paid for that, Akbar. And Jiva Goswami, there's an inscription. You can see it to this day. It's worn off, but you can see the impression. If you go to the Vrindavan Institute, they've got it there on microfiche. And it's Jiva Goswami saying, Akbar is a good king. In his realm, the Vaishnavas can worship Krishna peacefully. So Jiva Goswami gave him, there's a couple times Akbar called for Jiva. There's a whole story, another number of stories. So these are real historical personalities. These things happen. It's not just folklore and wishful thinking and like Paul Bunyan in his bull. It's not like that. Okay, so Kumbhakarna, he was Vijay of the two, Jai and Vijay. So one of the forms. Huh? Okay, yeah, he was Vijay, he's Kumbhakarna. Next. So here's Kumbhakarna. They cut off his legs, they cut off his arms, he had fire coming from his tongue. He still wouldn't, finally they cut off his head. So here he is. Here's the monkeys carrying away his different limbs as Ram hacked them off. Next. Finally they cut off his head. So here you see they're fighting the monkeys with their rocks and boulders. They're fighting Indrajit. He's got all of his mystic power. Next. So this is Indrajit, and he had snake weapon by mantra. And they all got tangled up in constricting snakes, like giant boa constrictors that were squeezing them to death. Just like Krishna let himself be captured by, Kali, he was wrapped in the coils. Krishna's expert at theatrics. We have Lord Varaha. His mace was knocked out of his hand by Hiranyaksha. We have Hiranyakasipu. Actually, Hiranyakasipu disappeared at one time. You know where he was? All the devas couldn't see him. Lord Nrsingadev had expanded to such a super huge size, he was stuck under the fingernail of Lord Nrsingadev. Nrsinga shook him out, So just imagine. So sometimes, they like to, it's a little theatrics. Oh, they've got the upper hand, So what to do? Here's Indrajit, and they're all wrapped up in snake weapons. Next. So I actually wanted to show me that. Go forward one. So yeah, go there. So this is Indrajit knocked Lakshman unconscious, and the only thing that would revive him. Here is Lakshman. There's a number of stories. Anyway, you can see here's Ram. Here's Lakshman in his lap, and he's unconscious on his deathbed from this mystic incantation sent by Indrajit. And the only thing that would cure him was an herb that grew in the foothills of the Himalayas. So to go back to the previous one. So Hanuman, as soon as he heard this, he took off. But when he got there, he realized, I forgot to ask which herb. Well, what to do? So he just ripped up the whole hill with all the herbs and brought all the herbs back. So Prabhupada said, utsaha, enthusiasm. We want to be enthusiastic in devotional service. Next. And you can skip that one. So here's the face-off. We're coming to the end here. Yeah, we're okay. So here's Ravan. And he's come to the final. He sent everybody else out, and everyone was killed. Finally, he comes out himself. Next. So Ram, he cut off all the heads, as Vijay was describing last night. They keep coming back. Unless you clean the heart, the mind's going to be full of all kinds of lust. Get rid of one desire, there'll be another. People often, they give up smoking, and they get addicted to drinking. They give up drinking, they get addicted to heroin. They give up heroin, they get addicted to sex. They have a compulsive personality. Unless you change the consciousness, unless you change the heart, it'll just fixate onto something else. So here you see Lord Ram, and he finally shoots. Next, in the heart. So I love this verse. Ravana's laughter, overtaken by joy, along with his very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. There was the twang. He's laughing, he's smashing, and he's killing. And twang. Boom. No more Ravan. Okay, next. So Vibhishan is enthroned, and as Prabhupada points out, nowhere in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarna Maya Shristam. Oh, there's 4 social orders, but you never find the word karma, janma. It's never birth. You judge a person by their character and their activities. That's how someone is judged. So here's being with all of his Rakshasic, assistants. Next. So this is Sita and Ram returning to Ayodhya by flower airplane. He's got his own Leela, he could have conquered Ravan in a second, but he wanted to manifest his pastimes. And this Diwali, when they decorate all the lights, it has a number of different meanings coming from the Vedic literature. So one of the Diwali is the day that Ram returns from Lanka. And everyone the entire city was lit with lights. Prabhupada, we can celebrate it. Prabhupada, you can put lights all over the temple room. And it celebrates welcoming Ram back to Ayodhya. So here he's on his flower airplane. Next. So when Ram returned, the first thing he did was go to see his mother. The mother's the Adi Guru, and she's blessing him. And Bart, he's returning the shoes. Remember, he kept the shoes Vijay was describing. He kept them on the throne and dressed like he was in the forest. He was living only on barley water, and he would sit on a grass mat. He was simply waiting for Ram to come back. So here's returning the shoes and welcoming him back. Okay, next. Prabhupada said, we're puffed up with borrowed plumes. We're just custodians. We take care of things for a little bit of time, and then we're hauled off the stage. So, of course, Sita, they said, oh, she was living with Ravan for so many months. He was so powerful. Certainly she succumbed to his charms. And there was gossip. Prabhupada, in the 5th canto, Force of Material Enjoyment, he compares gossip to mosquitoes and hawks and owls. You're out in the forest at night, you hear that horrible screech of an owl, and the mosquitoes, you can't see them, but they're biting you. Prabhupada says, gossip you can't see, but it causes you pain. So they were all gossiping. Ram was out in the city in disguise to hear what the citizens were saying. It's a whole story. But they were criticizing Sita. So Sita was so that her dignity and her honor had been challenged that she went into fire. It's a whole story. Next. But out of the fire, there's a whole story in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I won't tell it, but there was the Brahmin who wouldn't cook when Lord Chaitanya stayed, because he was thinking, how could Sita be captured by Ravan? And later on in the Kurma Purana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found the page that actually the Sita that was taken by Ravan was a false Sita, was an illusory Sita. And the real Sita was taken by Agni Dev and kept by Agni. So the Maya Sita went into the fire, and here's Agni bringing the real Sita back, proving her purity. And here's the same scene. Here's Sita in the forest. Here's all the citizens of Ayodhya. Here's Ram presenting that, to Lakshman how Sita is completely pure. So that's next. So this is the coronation of Ram. He's being installed again as the king. At last, all the devas. In this picture, it's got all the different devas in this crowd here. They're Adi Deva Mabam Vibhum, that Krishna's the original demigod, the Lord of the Devas. Next, we're almost done. So, Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman. Prabhupada points out, as pain comes unsought, pleasure will come and go. Therefore, we should simply do our duty. That's our guiding star. The 4 Kumaras say this, to Prithu Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj says this. Anybody here go out seeking pain? We have any closet masochists who just go out and get a hammer sometime and bang themselves in the head? Anybody do that? Does pain come? Automatically, unsought. Now, what does an intelligent person conclude? It's right there in front of you. I'm working so hard for misery, yet misery comes. Should I work all my life to get happiness, this little trifling it'll come automatically. Sometimes you'll get a good meal, sometimes you won't. Sometimes things will go smoothly, sometimes they won't. Sometimes people will praise you, sometimes they won't. So what? But the eternal guiding star is duty. And that's one of the main messages of the Ramayan. Everybody did their duty. Next. And that's it. And Prabhupada says, if we protect Dharma, Dharma will protect us. If we do our duty, not, I was just a good, whatever. If we do our duty according to the principles of Dharma. Next. Hanuman was unsophisticated, yet he was successful. Ravana was cultured and so powerful, yet he was defeated. Purity and the Lord's mercy are the key of success. Next. Okay, the Lord's blissful eternal Leela, Sita Ram, we have Lakshman Narayan, we have Radha Krishna, and we can join them. It's just the door is open, the path is clear, and it's a short trip. We just have to take it up. Next. Okay, we're done. These are the marks on Lord Ram's lotus feet. So there's a little taste of Ram Leela in honor of Vijay. Hare Krishna. Okay, we can get the light.